Hello, digital citizens. Mike Tarkington here. Just wanted to follow up with you on my latest prototype. This is actually the first prototype image that I'm going to show where I've used a prototyping program that actually allows me to create some functionality so we can actually see the result of certain clicks. My experience with this program is still very limited, so please keep that in mind as you look at this. Also, it's obviously not the final product. It just is designed to give the developers a impression of what I'm after and kind of go over some of the baseline functions of the page. So what we're going to be looking at today is actually sort of the core part of the open source legislation feature. Basically, it's an opportunity for the public to participate in making legislation like never before. A collaboration tool for editing bills that are currently up for debate in Congress. And so this is really an awesome tool. I believe a lot of people are going to be enjoying it in the future. It's not something that's going to be part of the initial offering, I'm imagining, because it sort of relies heavily on some other social networking tools. But I do think it's one of the more unique features that digicity.org will offer to its users, and something to look forward to down the line. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So this is the bill editor page. Assume at this point that you've already entered the website and you have looked up a particular bill, or perhaps there was a bill that was linked to you by a friend or an interest group that kind of shares some points of view with you or something like that, and they've guided you to this page. And so you're going to see the opportunity to edit the text of the bill. And again, this is not, written into law, but it's something that legislators can participate in with the public, and also be, something that provides cues to our legislators as to what we want, or maybe what experts think a law should look like, even though they're not legislators. So anyhow, you're on this page and you're looking to edit the text, or at least see what other people have edited and what they're talking about. Across the top here, we're going to just see some really fundamental information about the bill. There are a lot of websites that provide information scraped from the Library of Congress website, where you can actually find out about the status of a bill and keep it updated. So that's mostly what this is going to look like. It's going to look a lot like a compilation of things that other sites are doing, just to provide general info about a bill. And there will probably be separate pages supplying some of that with the Digital Citizen site as well. But just a nice summary here, I think, is important to consider when you're going into the process of actually editing a bill as well. So there's a summary here with things like the name of the bill, the number, introduction date, prognosis, meaning how likely it is to pass or fail, the sponsor with their picture, the sponsor's party, the sponsor's nominate score, which is essentially telling you how far right or left they are, state that they're from, perhaps district would be there as well, and then the status of the bill, the list of co-sponsors, maybe committees that are involved in the decision-making process or drafting process, external links to other sites or content, maybe news. That's something to think about, that I might provide as part of this page. And then a public vote section where they can kind of just say yay or nay to the bill, and just sort of we get a little bit of a tally on the bill overall. Anyhow, after that we've got the summary description. brief, usually that's just a few sentences or a paragraph, and then there's the actual bill text in this field here. So this is where things get a little more interesting. At the end of every sentence, there's a button, and they're not going to look like this. At least I certainly hope there won't, because this is pretty ugly. But perhaps they'll have an edit in the word edit inside them. But there will be a number, and the number indicates the amount of proposed revisions that have been offered for that particular sentence. And then there's this edit paragraph button, because I'm thinking that we can allow a user to either edit an entire paragraph once or edit one sentence in the paragraph, and no more than that, because we want to keep it down to a minimum, not have anyone sort of overwhelm the editing process with just many, many suggested revisions, or even just to avoid plain outright spammers. So we want to probably keep it at one edit per paragraph, whether that's the entire paragraph or one sentence within the paragraph. Anyway, so there are these buttons here after every sentence, and if you click it, it'll pop up some kind of a window, something perhaps like this, that offers a scroll area where you can see the previously made revisions by other users. And so here you'll see a list of the revisions, and they're sorted. By default, they'd be sorted based on the vote count in support of that revision. Anyway, when you first open it up, you'll note that the top will have the sentence that you're editing highlighted in some way, so that you can kind of just have a clear picture of what it is you're trying to revise. And then you'll enter your text into this field here. We're probably going to keep it at a 250 character limit, but we'll need to think about that and do some testing as well. But we do want to keep it fairly short, and some sentences can get really long. You don't necessarily have to keep yours within one sentence, so you could replace one sentence with two, but your revision has to be within a reasonable length. So you can see some sorting options here, and that will actually change the sorting of the revisions you see below. Perhaps this sort row will be moved down below the actual editing field. Anyway, not a big difference. But yeah, we'd probably have these sorting radio buttons just above the list of revisions that people have made. And you could choose creation date to sort them by the date they were entered instead of just having the default, which sorts by votes. You could find a particular user that maybe has proposed a revision, and select their name from a drop-down list. A search function might even be wise here, if that can be arranged to have. Let's say that a certain person commonly revises bills. You may see a lot of revisions proposed, but you have a particular pundit you follow, or a newscaster, or a politician, and you know that they're working on this. You can choose that specified user option and then search for their name or find them in this list, and then that'll take you right to their proposed revision. Or then you could just choose my revision if you've entered a revision and it's been pushed down in the list because it hasn't received votes, etc. Or it's not the most recent thing in there, so the creation date doesn't put you at the top either. Anyhow, this is some of the brainstorming I was thinking of for the sentence revision area. And when you see a revision line, you can see this line here. I have sort of an alternating yellow and white rows, but there's a vote up button, and then the vote count right here, the username resting across the top left here, And then profile type. So in the social networking functions of the site, I want to have people be able to distinguish themselves. And politicians are going to have their own unique types of profiles because some of the content in their profile is going to be public information that we're going to pull. So regardless of whether or not a politician actually actively uses their profile, there's going to be some information in the site about that politician, looking at their background, their education, and some of the bill votes that they've made in the past, so that we kind of get an idea of what that the politician's role is, whether or not they actually participate in the site. But my hope is that they certainly do all eventually become active users of Digital Citizen and share their, transparently share their revisions and their thought processes behind them. But anyway, you can identify a certain type of profile that you have. There might be academics, just a regular citizen. It could be an interest group. So there's going to be different kinds of profiles, and so that would be identified here alongside of badges. Honor badges is part of the gamification functions of the social networking elements of the site. The idea is that participation in the site and the different types of participation that you can do earn you different types of little fancy icon badges that will appear at different areas of the site. So I was thinking, this might be one opportunity for users to kind of enjoy sharing and showing off some of their clout. So we might display honor badges of the user that creates the revision in this area here. And then you'll see the actual revision itself. Here I'm just using this space to make notes. And I'm talking about the defaults here. But yeah, there'd be the user's profile picture here, a comment button. So you'll notice on the right-hand side there's this comment stream. This is indicating it would refer to the bill number, but then there'd be a comment stream, and this would be comments either generated by clicking here to comment on a particular revision or just comments on the bill overall. Probably have to add a comment button somewhere across the top and bottom of the bill page. But yeah, this will basically show a stream of comments sorted by date. To keep the discussion going, keep it interesting. It'll pull things out of these little revision areas and kind of give a bit more of a conversation here. And if there's a particular sentence that's being connected to a comment, you'd see the revised sentence. So if I was to click this comment button here, it put this revised sentence into my comment and give me a place to type it into here. Anyway, that's part of the vision. I haven't really created pop-ups for that, but that's part of why I'm doing this video. And there's only so much that I can really explain at a time without overwhelming users. This already might be kind of overwhelming in terms of just looking at the details of this functionality. So, I don't want to do too much all at once, but this does give people the general idea, I hope. So adding to status would basically mean that you are going to put this revision into your profile page, sort of like you would a status update on Facebook or one of the other regular social networking tools. And then you'd make a comment about your own revision or someone else's revision. Sharing, this probably wouldn't actually be a drop-down list. It'd probably be more like a menu with, the typical Facebook, Twitter, Google, Pinterest, etc. trademark icons, and then you can share your revisions or other people's revisions in social media. And then I can't deselect this text. And then here we're looking at, probably another option that's not going to be a drop-down list, but I do believe there should probably be some sort of reporting function so that we can be aided in moderating the site by users who spot problems of spam or abuse. So we might have this be, more subtle, not really a drop-down menu. That's probably not the best functionality, but anyway, I wanted it to be in there as sort of a cue that we need to do something along those lines. And then down below, this area here is actually an opportunity to sort of view a bill that has been fully edited. And you can choose the filters to see what kind of revisions you want to see in this area. And it sort of will compile the popular edits that have been voted up to the top position, and then put all of those sentences or paragraphs together and show that to you. Now that may or may not read very well, but it would possibly be a good indicator of, specific measure changes that people want. People voted those revisions to the top, and so it might be an interesting way to assemble a bill and its components to see what the public actually wants. And that might be a mess. It may be an experimental thing that we have to try out. And there might be different ways of sort of compiling a bill out of the most popular elements. That's something I've been brainstorming with. The My Edits function would give you the ability to see a compilation of your edits from any revisions you may have put into the paragraphs of the bill. So that would compile your edits, and you'd see them appear here. And one thing I want to mention is this hide edit tracking. I'm thinking that much like Microsoft Word's track changes feature, if you toggle this, you'd be able to hide or show strike through text in cases where something has been deleted, or have certain modified portions of the text highlighted just to indicate exactly where the changes were made. Even if you're doing those revisions yourself, you might forget some of the details of what you changed. And if you're looking at someone else's revisions, it can certainly be a task to tell the difference between, this raw original text that you would have seen up here underneath this pop-up, and then, comparing that to what you see down here in some revised version. So I think that would be a really useful editing feature, so that people can collaborate and see exactly what other changes, what changes others have actually made. And again, here you'll have the ability to choose a specific user, so that if there's someone in the list of people who have made revisions, you'd see that list here in a drop down, and you'd pick their name, and it would produce a bill based on the revisions that person made. And then you could hide or show the changes that they made. So really, I think an interesting opportunity for collaboration on bill text that we've never really seen before. We have open source software development. To me, it seems like open source legislation is a no-brainer. We certainly have the power to collaborate on producing documents. Businesses do it all the time. The difference here is scale, but I think that clever people putting together ideas based on what I talked about in this video can make it happen. So again, I'm looking for technical know-how and design help, funding, etc. So please contact us at digicity@outlook.com. Visit the website, comment on this video, comment on the page it's attached to that explains the open source legislation feature thoroughly, and give us your thoughts. Hopefully you can join the team. Thank you.